Hi, my name is Louise Thurman. I am the CEO of IPS Research Company. My training and background, I went to medical school at University of California, and I did my specialty training in psychiatry. I was on faculty at the university here in Oklahoma for a few years teaching, and decided that what I really wanted to do was focus on clinical research. So this happened about 1996, made that jump, made that leap out off the cliff without really knowing I was jumping off a cliff. And my business had been reasonably successful, producing enough income. I didn't have to have any side jobs or anything like that. And the company expanded relatively quickly for the first couple of years, and then it continued to grow a bit, and then it pretty much stayed put for another 5 or 6 years. So about 3 or 4 years ago, starting to enter the age of which you start thinking like, how much longer do I want to work? Started to think about, well, what am I going to do with the business? The business was really dependent on my presence, which is something I hadn't really considered before. So I had a business evaluation, and basically somebody clarified that for me in black and white, dollars and cents, and that I really had a problem that without creating a business that could run independent of myself, or at least not necessarily have to be on premises all the time, that I would be working for a really long time. So I was talking to a friend of mine who suggested I talk to Rob, who's a business coach. And to be honest, it sounded a little corny at first, and I thought, business coach, what's up with that? So I reluctantly initially agreed to meet with him, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting, as Rob likes to say. Just say, now isn't that interesting, instead of I already know. It's one of his phrases he always likes to remind people of that he's working with. So anyway, I met with him, and then he and I met a couple more times, and he's a very engaging fellow. So if nothing else, I really enjoyed talking with him, and he really started to offer me some insights into things I was missing, things I wasn't thinking about with my business before we even really started to work together. And it occurred to me that I was really missing out by not gaining all the knowledge that he has to offer. So, so I started coaching with him in January of '09, or December of '09, or December of '08, January of '09. And it's been a real transformative 2 years, in a lot of ways for me personally. It's definitely, basically my business has doubled in size since I started working with him. In terms of gross receipts, but it has not doubled in expenses, nor has it had to double in terms of size of personnel. So I think that says a lot. If you can double in size of terms of gross with making a small number of a small amount of increase in your labor costs, I'm pretty impressed with the strategies that he's helped me implement. So, he's I don't know, Rob's an extremely warm and compassionate person, and for me, he has this wonderful balance of being able to be motivating and supportive. I'm probably harder on myself than he is, but he still holds me accountable without just being a real hard ass, which I really like. So I think that working with him has really allowed me to be a much more competent business owner. I've learned a lot about the things I don't know about finance, which if anybody watching this has ever been through medical training, you know that they don't teach you that in med school. I've learned a lot about what kind of resources I need to have that I didn't have before to grow the business. That I've also learned that you don't have to make big, ginormous, dramatic changes to be very impactful in your business. It can be small steps, and still reap a huge benefit. So that's been very, very, very helpful. Probably the other big thing that he has helped me with has been understanding that there's a difference between how you feel as a business owner than your employees feel, and I had to get over that employees don't, while they are often very loyal and very committed and willing to work hard, most of the time don't share the same passion that you do, and I didn't really realize that until I started working with him, and that was a really important insight for me in terms of setting expectations and also setting limits. So I've learned a lot about that too. We have a lot of, it's been 2 years, I've learned a lot, and as I said, business has doubled. And actually this year is probably going to be the most exciting year. He finally got me to put together a strategic plan going forward. The very focused, very data-driven strategic plan, and I have to say he's increased his accountability on me, which is good. but that's not something I think I would have ever actually sit down and written out. And it's the end of January as we're doing this. Actually, in a number of, there's I think 11 strategic initiatives for the year, and about half of them were already actually ahead of schedule. So I'm very excited. I think if any of you that are, again, watching this, I think if you have any reluctance or hesitancy or doubt about working with Rob, all I can tell you is that it's the most valuable investment I think I've made in my business from a monetary standpoint and certainly time standpoint, because actually the time that I spend with him, I wind up being far more efficient in what I'm doing, so I'm really honestly saving time. So when you see those little pyramids and graphs and things that he'll show you, it actually works out. It really does. So this is an unpaid endorsement, so thought I'd throw that in there. I'm actually just sharing my thoughts with you because Rob is just such a gem. You'll be very, very fortunate to work with him.